Elena Anapova's magic cards from Lo Scarabeo were probably the first non-tarot oracle cards that I've acquired. I know that Enochian Tarot isn't really a tarot too, so although it sort of is, because instead of an alphabet of stations, you have a set of 30 stations, so it's sort of the same thing. So, but this one's clearly not. You have an equal number of cards for each suit, being 18. So you have 72 in all. And as we see here, we got the symbol for Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, and, the other variation of it. North and Fire with Cups is where we start. Then we have West, Earth, Coin, Spoon, and East, Air, Spade, Knife, and South, Water, Sword, Fork, and then the center to complete a spiral, casting the energy up and letting the energy draw down, and that is the form. I'm not sure the origin of these Russian Sybil cards, or the symbols therein, whether they're just composed by the author. This is a 2005 deck and book. And the symbol here is called with its 2 of each of the 12. It's called a Laton, and in this case it's representing cosmic order. So the general perception of astrology that people have, age of Aquarius sort of thing. But, there's age of Aries that would put Capricorn as the month, as the sign this time of year. The aces have a globe, and they have the symbol of the element. Swastika, is that what you call it when it's facing left? 4 for fire and cups, but coins and earth is 3, which reminds of the Thylophot thing. But you also have that sort of thing going on with the way that the sword or air is drawn, and water doesn't quite do that. Spade or air, it doesn't have that spiraling thing going on. And water is shown with a the sword, so I didn't mess that one up a little bit. If we see here, we have the the symbols on each card for the numbers, which have hand gestures, which can be very primal in themselves, right? But the colors of the seasons are the element red, black, blue, green aren't exactly the universal choices involved, but the elements that we would look at have the same basic meaning. It's connected to a system of what we now would probably call chakras, where 1 through 6 and 8 is the top of the head to the anus, and or maybe the genitals hanging below. I don't know. It doesn't quite explain it too well. 7 is the auric field. 9 is the arms, and 10 is the legs. The 2 to 10 of each suit is thoughts, forms, feelings, will, creation, soul, afterlife, humans, and space, which are each as worlds. The knees and feet, this area is shown with a castle. The palms and elbows is shown with a jug that has handles. The tailbone is shown with a book. It has straps or a lock on it between an owl and a bat. Above the fontanelle is shown by a bird on a tree on a mountain. The sexual organs are shown by a downward pointing triangle with a circle and the swords coming out of that, and there's an emblem with a lion that has ribbons on the side. Around the navel is a shield, is symbolized by a shield that has a double-ended spear going from the bottom, under the bottom, or behind the bottom left to the bottom right, or it would be the bottom right to the upper left if it was, that the perspective of the person holding it, and from the bottom right to the upper left, or the bottom left to the upper right, from that, the perspective of the person holding the shield, there's a, standard. So, a pole with a ribbon-like flag from it. The heart has a heart symbol, and from the upper right to the left bottom is the piercing of the heart. There are wings above the ventricle. There looks to be 2 rings of smoke, and below you have 3 drops. For the throat, we have a battle axe and a mace, two-sided axe with a mace, a circle, and 8 circles around there. The top of which we have, you know, one of those Greek-style houses, buildings with pillars. We have a flower of 6 petals with the circle in the middle. We have a circle, that's at the bottom one, and 2 circles, 4 circles. So each of the cross-quarter ones, I guess, but, and left and right, you have faces facing each other. And I'm guessing the one on the right is a female face. And the mace, I guess, has chain wrapped around it, and the battle axe has a point in the center. And for the head, there's a helmet with wings over, kind of like what they do with the Torah scroll, but it's not just the Torah scroll, but the Jews have continued the tradition of putting things on scrolls, and there's like 9 lines of writing. Not sure exactly what it's supposed to say. I would bet there's something very particular about that. The left side has more of a burst, but it's more central, and it looks pretty much like what's in the middle of the the 2 triangle point things. You see what I'm talking about here. See that? So that's 36 of the cards. The other 36 cards, well, I said the aces, so that's part of the set that follows. And we have the kings, which are kind of like a churchy sort of crown with a snake wrapped around it. The powers have a snake that's wrapped around the world. There's a skeleton before it, I guess, but then it turns its head towards the right, from our perspective. The fiancés are, there's a key below an apple, a golden key, of course. A spiral leading up to a waning crescent moon symbol is the masters, and the spiral, tilts that way. The demons are like an eagle, but like below its breast, it has no more eagle parts, and the wings kind of clasp towards the bottom, and it's wearing some weird crown that has like a dark circle, I guess the new moon, and on the other side, on top of it, you have have a line, but then you have a curve with a spike on each end. Vestals is something with like a striped horn, or I guess, wraps around the horn in layers, and a rope hangs from that, and it ties down, and there's a ball in it before the tassel, but it holds a scroll, a twig through a bit of wood, I guess, that looks like 2 hands, and then a fire comes out of it, is called the apprentices. A one-handled jug with sort of a triple train of cones supporting it is the servants. Now, the 36 pip cards, as we would call it, and the aces, of course, show the symbol of their suit, the number of times, and, sort of appear in that way, each like a playing card. The other 36 cards also contain that symbol, but they don't contain it, to that particular number. And the aces, I think I left out the fact that the aces have some sort of clouds in the background. And so that can represent the possibility of illusion and delusion. The aces are the mystery, the subtle, unseen energy fabric of it all. Servants are attachments. They've gained their individuality, but they're still not quite of their own substance, as you could say it. Apprentices can be the elemental spirits, gnomes and salamanders, nymphs and slips, that sort of stuff. But it can be the sort of the emotional, intuitive attachment, or counterpart to the natural elements, allowing us to manifest these things here are, what makes that possible. The Vestals are the, I said intuitive, and most of what people mean by intuitive, they mean the mental, but the Vestals are sort of along those lines as well, but it's, purely more on the mental plane. They're teachers. Now, the demons, well, they get at you from the daimon, the anti-personal self, amon, whichever linguistic way you want to pronounce it. But they certainly can be demons, kind of like the Aleister Crowley quote, anything but strong, it's the desires, it's the drives, it's, if you work well in this area, you'll, certain things will stay away from your home or won't become part of it. So it's working out your will, as you could say it. But it's certainly the category where you can be fed upon. Masters are the material participation. It's something that extends into the future, beyond this life where we physically incarnate, right? The fiancés are what's similar. I guess the demons, you could say, are the law of repulsion, and the others the law of attraction, but that's not quite it, is it? The fiancés are, but it represents what assists you. The powers are kind of like the angels, and you have to be completely submissive and surrender to the actual law that you're supposed to be upon in order to do this sort of stuff. In order to be aware and for them to help you, because they're not free-willed beings like the beings that could become demons. It's not, our word demon, I guess, is not quite what we're referring to, because it's more like jinn. The Tali are beings of choice, so they're not all evil beings that are going to feed on you and direct you towards, And the kings are, the universal things. Now, a simpler reading would just take the 36, numerical cards, and the essence cards are, going to make the reading more clear. It's important for directing your thoughts and the meaning and all that sort of stuff, because I'm not promoting by this that you shuffle the cards and you know the future. Is that you decide the layout and the cards and stuff before you know which card is going in that spot. So you can be sort of objective in terms of, and not just manipulate to get a fluffy reading or something. And you can certainly arrange the cards in particular orders on purpose as sort of a mandala to cast spells, as they would call it. But spells as in forming words and all that sort of stuff, not,